Have you ever felt like the world you knew was suddenly taken away, leaving you confused and unsure? That's how my story began, a journey from sadness to a brightness I never thought possible. It was a cool autumn morning, and I remember the sunlight streaming through my studio windows, casting long, golden beams across the room. I was standing in front of my latest painting, a big canvas filled with swirls of blue and gold. My first big art show was just days away, and I could almost hear people saying how much they loved my work. Years of hard work had led to this moment. But life, as I would soon learn, has its own way of changing things. The accident happened in an instant. A loose beam from a nearby construction site crashed through the studio window. Pieces of glass flew everywhere like sharp little stars, and in the chaos, I felt a sharp pain in my eyes. When I woke up in the hospital, the world was dark. Completely dark. "I'm sorry," the doctor said, his voice heavy with sadness. "The damage was severe. You won't be able to see again. My dear friends, I may have lost my sight, but I haven't lost my vision. And I don't want to lose you either. Subscribe to my YouTube channel now and join our WhatsApp community to stay updated on new videos, insights, and knowledge. Together, let's navigate life's journey and explore something new every time. You won't see again." Those words echoed in my mind, breaking my spirit. My paintings, my dreams, my identity, all seemed to disappear into that endless darkness. The days that followed were filled with grief. I shut myself away, angry and full of regret. The colorful world I once painted now felt like an empty, black canvas. My friends and family tried to help me, but their words didn't reach me. How could they understand the emptiness I felt? One evening, as I sat alone in my quiet studio, my fingers brushed against the rough surface of an unfinished canvas. The texture surprised me, sparking a tiny bit of curiosity. Slowly, I ran my hands over it, feeling the ridges and bumps where the paint had dried. For the first time, I started to see the painting with my hands instead of my eyes. My mentor, Mrs. Evelyn, helped bring back my spark. She was an older artist who had guided me in my early years. She had a strong spirit and believed that art was more than what you see. When she heard about my condition, she came to visit me without warning. "So, you're giving up?" she asked sharply. "Is that all your talent is worth?" I snapped back, anger boiling over. How am I supposed to paint when I can't even see? She didn't back down. Instead, she placed a lump of clay in my hands. "Art isn't just about sight," she said. "It's about feeling, sensing, creating. Close your eyes and tell me what you feel." Reluctantly, I did as she said. The clay was cool and soft, shaping easily in my hands. As I molded it, something inside me stirred. For the first time since the accident, I felt a small sense of control, a tiny flicker of purpose. From that day on, I started exploring the world in new ways. I learned to see through sound, listening to the rain tapping on windows and the rustling of leaves in the wind. I discovered the language of touch, running my fingers over tree bark, fabrics, and stones, each texture telling its own story. Most importantly, I started to use the emotions inside me, the sadness, the hope, the anger, and the love. Months turned into a year, and my studio came alive again. My paintings changed, no longer limited by what people expect to see. I used bold strokes and layered textures that could be felt as much as seen. I experimented with colors based on how they made me feel, with friends helping me when I needed advice. My art became a reflection of a world experienced through senses others often ignore. The first time I showed my new collection, I was terrified. I worried people would pity me or think my blindness was just a gimmick. But when the gallery doors opened, the room fell silent. People didn't just look at my paintings, they touched them, feeling the layers and textures. Some even cried, moved by the raw emotion in each piece. A young boy came up to me, his voice shaky. "How did you paint these?" "They're so alive." I smiled, tears filling my sightless eyes. I painted what I feel, not what I see. The exhibit was a big success, and people started calling me the blind artist who painted light. But it wasn't fame that mattered to me. What mattered was knowing my art could touch people's lives. My darkness had become a source of light for others. I began hosting workshops, teaching others to create beyond their limits. Blind students, children with disabilities, even experienced artists looking for inspiration came, and together, we redefined what art could be. Looking back, losing my sight was the hardest thing that ever happened to me. But it also made me face parts of myself I had ignored. It taught me that real vision doesn't come from the eyes, but from the heart. And it showed me that even in the darkest times, there is light waiting to be found, a light we carry inside ourselves. So if you ever feel lost, facing a challenge that seems too big, remember this: the world is full of colors and textures you haven't discovered yet. Trust yourself, embrace the unknown, and let your inner light guide you. Sometimes, it's only when we lose one thing that we truly understand the power of everything else. And that's how I, the blind artist, learned to paint light, not with my eyes, but with my heart.